three. We had three children in 2 years. There was 10 months between the first two, and then there was 12 months between that one and the third one. So we had three little babies on a bottle at one time. And then later on, we had Jill, my daughter that we lost last year, and then we had Robbie Turner, who's a great musician and plays with all the big time groups with the Highwaymen, Willie Whalen, Chris, and Johnny Cash, and all of those. And then here is a picture of my mother and five generations, my granddaughter and my great granddaughter. This is my daughter Marie Turner, and this is my mother, Clem Higgins Hilburn, and here's me, and here's LaDonna, my granddaughter, and then LaDonna's baby girl, and that's five generations of our family. And then this is a picture of me and Robbie made in Nashville recently at a concert that he was doing there. And then uh, this is Robbie was playing bass down at Rum Boogie for several years on Beale Street here in Memphis. And this is Rufus Thomas singing. I always had my birthday down there. Rufus Thomas would sing happy birthday to me, and right there is where he had this was that event that was going on, and Rufus called me up to sing happy birthday, and then he turned around there with his head turned around and asked Robbie, he said, how old is Bernice anyway? And Robbie said, I don't know, but don't she look good for her age? And he said, uh, yeah, but he said, I know that, he turned back around to the microphone, he said, I know that for the last 30 years I've been singing happy 39th birthday to her. And so, of course, everybody got a big laugh out of that. And and then this is a book that I wanted to tell about. There's a Still in Love with You. It's a daughter's true story. This is by Lucretia Williams. This was Hank and Audrey's daughter. She was about 2 or 3 years old when Hank and Audrey married, and Hank did adopt her, so she was legally Hank's daughter. And it's Lucretia Williams Hoover, and she lives in Nashville. And this book, and Dale Vinegar, she and Dale Vinegar wrote this book, but I helped them with it, and all along the way, and with Audrey's secretary Irma Shaw, we went to Dallas and stayed a week, and got information for her after Audrey's death. And that was I'm real proud of that book. And then I when Robbie was 13 years old, he went to work. Well, I got him in the union when he was 12. I think I've already told about that. But then he was going to work with Ace Cannon when he was 13, and Robbie was already got 6'2 or 3 inches tall, and thought he was grown, and didn't want Mama going along with him to watch after him, because before then I had got, when he would be playing with entertainers, I would always be there watching him, and that nothing went wrong with the situation. And so he no longer wanted me to go along, and Ace had talked about, he had a bus, but it had been repossessed back in his drinking days. Ace had had a drinking problem, but he had been in AA for 4 months and was sober. And when he come and asked me about Robbie going to work with him, I told him, I made a stipulation that if he ever took one drink of beer or alcohol and I knew it, well, then that would be the day that Robbie would quit with no notice, and he agreed to that. But of course, after Robbie went to work with him, I found out in our days it was alcohol, and in these days it's something worse. And so, and then I started thinking, well, how could I go along with Ace and watch after Robbie and him not know that I was looking after him? And What happened? I asked Ace how would he like to have a bus, and he said, "Oh, I'd love one, but I can't afford it." And I said, "Well, can you afford the gas?" And he said, "Well, I think so." So then I bought a bus, and we customized it. And well, there was a friend of mine had a bus partially customized over on Lamar that owned a club over there, and so I bought that bus and we finished customizing it, and then I learned to drive it and went out on the road with Ace Cannon to watch after Robbie. And so then I drove for about a year. I drove the bus, and then at that point, uh, do we need to take a break?
No, we need to get it loud.
Okay. Um, at at that point, then Ray Brown, that managed Ace, called me up, and he said, "Bernice, I have signed a R&B group out of Vallejo, California called Confunction, and I wanted to." They want to talk with you about customizing a bus for them. They've got their first gold album. So Mike Cooper, they come here. I told him that I would talk to him, and Mike Cooper came here from Vallejo and came to our home and talked to me about the customizing them a bus. And so I went to Trailways. At that time, you couldn't buy just a shell and have it customized. And so um, it's now, has it picked up what I've been saying already?
The last little bit, your voice dropped. Go ahead and talk again.
Um, so I went to Trailways, uh, and um, and I bought a bus with seats, and carried it and had this all the interior tore out of the bus along with the seats, and had the inside of it customized for Confunction. And then I put a driver on the other bus that I had bought, and then um, which I rented out, and then the bus I was driving with Confunction, it paid for that bus. And so then I went on to haul group after group. Most of the entertainers, I had one group, the specials from England, and then there was 5 or 6 others come, and one would tell the others, I never spent a dime for advertising, because one group would tell another I treated people right, and one group would tell another group, and then they would call me when they needed a bus. So I hauled Kool and the Gang, Four Tops, the Four Seasons, Frank Sinatra, um, Sinbad, Dorn, which is the name is Dorn Haygood, and all kinds of Smokey Robinson, all kinds of groups that I hauled, R&B groups, um, and so then I had got up through the years. I kept on buying other buses, and I would get one paid for, and I'd put a driver on it, and then I would buy another. And so then in 94, and I had a limousine service, and I had it paid for, and my home paid for. And then in November 21st in 94, there was some people who I was driving a white limousine, and I didn't have my seatbelt fastened, and they hit me in the side of a car, and broke 1 and 2 and 4 vertebrae in my neck, and I was carried to the med, and the med told my children they didn't think I was going to live, because remember, Christopher Reeves broke 1 and 2 vertebrae, and I had broken 1, 2, and 4, and with God's help I lived. And so my son, after 2 weeks, had came from Nashville, and had run my bus business for 2 or 3 months, and then he had to get back to his business in Nashville, doing session work and recording studio. And so then he had me transferred to St. Francis, and I was in there 2 years, but I don't remember the wreck, and I don't remember being in the hospital. Those 2 years were just blank in my life. And so then I have some of the pictures of some of the people that I hauled over the years, and that I associated with, and